Welcome to another ukulele tutorial. I'm Lara, and today we're playing the song Lava. This is a very sweet song from the Pixar Disney animated short. I'm going to show you 4 ways that you can play this song, 2 strumming patterns and 2 fingerpicking patterns. Now you can take any one of these patterns and play through the entire song, or you can go back and forth between patterns. For example, you may want to use one pattern on the verses and one pattern on the chorus. We'll play through the entire song as we learn and move through each of these patterns. First, we're going to take a quick look at the 3 chords that are in this song. I want to point out that I'm playing a tenor with a low G. If you have a high G on your instrument, you can still follow this entire tutorial. Just keep in mind that whatever you play on your 4th string will be 1 octave higher than mine. We'll be playing the same notes, but just 1 octave apart. Our first chord is C, followed by G7, and then F. I have a few tips for you on the chord transitions. The first is going from C to G7. You can play C with either your ring finger or your pinky. If you play it with your ring finger, then you'll simply slide that finger back 1 fret when you go to G7. So starting on C and going to G7. If you play C with your pinky, then you'll simply lift it up and place down your other 3 fingers to play G7. So starting on C and going to G7. The other tip is going from G7 to F. So starting on G7, our index finger will stay in place. There's no need to lift it up. But our other 2 fingers will lift up, and our middle finger is going to move from the 3rd string up to the 4th string. Now let's start off with our first pattern. This is the strumming that you'll hear in the original recording of this song. The pattern is down, down, up, down, up, down, up. Here's what it sounds like. Let's take a closer look at this. Now I'll play this pattern for you at a nice slow tempo. The rhythm of this pattern is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. I have 2 tips for you on this strumming pattern. The first is that you're going to use a gentle movement of your wrist to do the strumming. You're not going to move your entire arm up and down, but just a gentle movement with the wrist. The other tip is to make your first down strum slightly louder than the rest of the pattern so that there's a bit more emphasis on the first beat. For the introduction of this song, we're going to play through a chord sequence, and for each chord, we'll play this strumming pattern twice, except for the 2nd C. When we get to the 2nd C, we're going to play it only once. This same chord sequence is repeated in the verses throughout the entire song. Now we'll use this first strumming pattern to play from the introduction through the first chorus. You'll find all of the lyrics and the chords to this song in the description of this video. Starting off with the introduction. And now we have our first verse. A long, long time ago, there was a volcano living all alone in the middle of the sea. He sat high above his bay, watching all the couples play, and wishing that he had someone to. Next we have 2 lines, which is essentially half of a verse. Technically this is a pre-chorus as it's coming right before the chorus. It's played the same way as the first 2 or the second 2 lines of any of the verses. And from his lava came this song of hope that he sang out loud. Every day for years and years. to the first chorus. For the chorus, we're going to play our strumming pattern twice on every chord until we get to the fourth line. When we get to the fourth line, we'll play this strumming pattern once on F, once on G7, and then twice on C. I have a dream, I hope will come true, that you're here with me, and I'm here with you. I wish that the earth, sea, and the sky up above will send me someone to love. Now moving on to the second pattern, here's what this one sounds like. For this pattern, I'm incorporating chucking into the strumming to give us some percussion. Now, if you haven't learned chucking yet, I'll put a link above to my short tutorial where I walk you through it step by step. Now let's take a closer look at this pattern. This pattern is a combination of down strums, up strums, and chucking. Let me play it for you nice and slow. The pattern is down, chuck, up, chuck, up. Down, chuck, up, chuck, up. The rhythm of this pattern is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now let's use this second strumming pattern to play through the next two verses and the second chorus. Moving into our next verse, similar to our first pattern, we're going to play this strumming pattern twice on every chord except for the C on the second and fourth lines of the verse. Years of singing all alone turned his lava into stone until he was on the brink of extinction. But little did he know that living in the sea below, another volcano was listening to his song. And now we have another verse. We'll play it with the same pattern and the same chord progressions. Every day she heard his tune, her lava grew and grew because she believed his song was meant for her. Now she was so ready to meet him above the sea as he sang his song of hope for the last time. Now we have our second chorus, which is exactly the same as the first chorus. We'll just play it with the second pattern. I have a dream, I hope will come true, that you're here with me, and I'm here with you. I wish that the earth, sea, and the sky up above will send me someone to love. Now we've come to pattern 3, which is our first finger picking pattern. Here's what this one sounds like. Let's take a closer look at this one. Here's this pattern played nice and slow. For this pattern, we're going to play strings 4 down to 1 twice to make up 4 beats. We'll play the string 4 with our thumb, string 3 with our index finger, string 2 with our middle finger, and string 1 with our ring finger. The rhythm of this pattern is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Ideally, you want the first half of this pattern to be louder than the second half. So the first time you play strings 4 down to 1 should be louder than the second time. Here's an example. The second half of this pattern almost sounds like an echo to the first half, and as you practice this, your fingerpicking skills will greatly improve as you gain more control over the volume in which you're picking the strings. Let's use this fingerpicking pattern to sing through the next verse, followed by another pre-chorus, and then the third chorus of the song. Now I'll play through the next verse using this fingerpicking pattern. Rising from the sea below stood a lovely volcano, looking all around, but she could not see him. He tried to sing to let her know that she was not there alone, but with no lava his song was all gone. Next we have another pre-chorus, so essentially half of a verse. He filled the sea with his tears, watched his dreams disappear as she remembered what his song meant to her. Now we have our third chorus, which is the same lyrics and same chords as the first two. There's one slight difference in that the third line starts with I wish on a higher note. The third line of the first two choruses starts off with I wish that the earth. In the third chorus, the third line starts off I wish that the earth. Now let's play through the third chorus using this fingerpicking pattern. I have a dream, I hope will come true, that you're here with me, and I'm here with you. I wish that the earth, sea, and the sky up above will send me someone to lava. If you're enjoying this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up, and thank you so much for subscribing. Now we're moving into our fourth pattern. This is more of an intermediate fingerpicking pattern, and here's what this one sounds like. Let's take a closer look at this one. I'll start by playing this pattern nice and slow. This pattern is made up of 8 notes, so I'll break it in half. For the first half, we're playing string 4 with our thumb, and then string 3 with our index finger, string 2 with our middle finger, and back to string 3 with our index finger. For the second half of the pattern, we're playing string 1 with our ring finger, and then up to string 3 with our index finger, down to string 2 with our middle finger, and back to string 3 with our index finger. Putting it all together, the rhythm of this pattern is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You may want to start by practicing this pattern nice and slow to get the pattern into your fingers before you bring it up to tempo. Now let's use this fourth fingerpicking pattern to finish playing through the song. We have one final verse and then one final chorus. Oh, they were so happy to finally meet above the sea. All together now their lava grew and grew. No longer are they all alone, with aloha as their new home. And when you visit them, this is what they sing. For the final chorus, the chord progression is the same as the first 3, but the words are different on this one, and the final line repeats 3 times. I have a dream, I hope will come true, that you'll grow old with me, and I'll grow old with you. different ways that you can play this beautiful song. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Have fun with your ukulele, and thank you so much for watching.